Well, joining me is friend of the show, friend of boxing, one of the great characters and promoters in our sport today, Kalle Sauerland. How are you doing, my friend?
I can say the same for you, Gareth. How are you, my friend? One of the great characters of the sport. How are you, my friend? Are you good?
I'm good, and I'm delighted to hear that you've created this link with Sauerland and Wasserman. Wasserman, of course, one of the biggest promotional agencies in the world, and you joined forces with them. How did that come about?
You know, strange things happen in lockdowns. It was a call last year from their UK guys, Dean Baker, one of their senior agents, and Flori Eshved, who runs Europe, and we had a meet. You know, we weren't up for sale. We weren't geared for a sale like you often do in certain companies. We're a family business, and it was a great discussion. And it was about how not only, not just to buy the company. You know, don't forget, it started in the late 70s. Yeah.
With your father, Wilfried.
Yeah, in Africa with my dad. You know, and you know, we've gone through so many different phases, you know, and it's just so exciting being in boxing. So it was never about finishing. This is about a new beginning. It's a new era, and that's what sort of was the we had to, you know, obviously convince him, and you know, it was about how we can take this to another level. And when you look at Wasserman, it's not only, you know, the clients. I mean, their clients in football, you know, we're talking 40 Premier League winners, on their books. Winners, not just Premier League players, winners. Tottenham, my club, hasn't got too many of them. But you look at the infrastructure. So when you grow as a promoter, and I remember I think it was 2015, 2016, we did something like 30 shows in, I don't know, 14 countries or something ridiculous. But these aren't shows like some promoters are doing today. They do a lot, you know. They have an output too. Don't forget, now you have partners like, for example, DAZN, which was great for boxing. It's a global thing. I'm talking 30 shows with different partners, different media partners. We were in Finland with one partner, Bulgaria with another partner. We were in Monte Carlo with another partner. We were in the UK with another partner, in Germany with our partner. So it was so mind-boggling. I remember it was at the end of the year, like everyone at the Christmas party was arguing with each other because it was a great year, but it took its toll. And we realized quickly, you know, to take it to another level, and the media landscape has changed. You can do, of course, these global deals, and I think Matchroom's done terrifically with DAZN on that. But to take it to another level as a promoter and work out with local media partners and build locally and sign locally, which is what we've always done, sign local and go local and build fighters from scratch, you need infrastructure. They have 1,200 employees in 30 offices around the world. And those aren't offices, you know, we've got, I don't know, a PO box or an assistant sitting in some country. These are proper offices. I mean, I think the one in London has 300 employees in the middle of the Strand. So the infrastructure is huge. The know-how in those people is within those. We're talking about a completely different caliber that I've ever seen in sports before. And I've worked in football as well, and worked in all sorts of sports, ice hockey, you name it. I've worked in it, but this is another level, you know. And that was what made us get very excited. You know, not only obviously the fact that they're extremely well financed. You know, it just gives us an ability to attack. And of course, I know we're on a UK talk show. The UK is a very interesting market, but it's also about a lot of other markets. You know, a lot of people saying this is the attack on the UK. The UK is, of course, it's very, very high up on our radar because it's booming, you know, and there's great talent out there. And, you know, it's a fantastic market, but it's also about other markets as well. So, you know, it's exciting times, Gareth. And you asked how it came out. It came out of lockdown.
Amazing. And obviously, what I recall as well, you guys promoting George Groves to a world title, and his agent was Wasserman at the time, and I suppose the seeds were sown. All of those kind of things. It's a very
Yeah,
organic business we're in, though, isn't it? We schmooze with each other. We get to know each other. We know who we work well with. You know.
Exactly, Gareth. I mean, we would be telling off our age if we told the listeners on how long we've known each other.
And the nights out we've had.
How many long nights out we've had together. Before we got on here, we were talking about one in Zurich. I think that must be at least 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And we started working together with George Groves, Anthony Ogogo, who we promoted. And yes, it was, in boxing, you forge relationships or you don't forge them. We've always been known as people who get on with everyone. I'd like to think that's true. Unfortunately,
you do. Yeah.
There are certain ones that we don't get on as well as the other ones, but I think we get on all right with all the major promoters. We get on well with.
No, I think you've become, you as an individual as well. I mean, you've become quite cult with fans. I mean, I repeat, cult with fans.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Because your weightlifting sessions, your powerlifting. No, people don't love all that about you. They like hearing about the fact you went to private school in Highgate and you're a dyed-in-the-wool Tottenham fan, all those kind of things about you, all the facets. But there's a few key things. TV, from your point of view now, you've got the backing. You've got names like Chris Eubank Jr., Flip Hergovich, who I think could take over in the heavyweight division.
Myris Breedis just won the WBSS as well.
Yeah, what are you targeting? TV deals are key for every promoter. So let me take you there with this. What's happening with TV deals? Well,
I mean, in terms of TV, I mean, all the markets, of course, are moving at the moment. There's a lot of movement, especially when you look in the UK, but also, the way that the whole media industry is moving. But that's all based off talent. If the talent's right, you're going to have a buyer. But And I think if you look at our stable, it's extremely rich in talent on the A list, but also, if you look down, we've got about 5-6 kids now in the top 10 of the world rankings. So
name us a couple of those.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you a good example. For example, Leon Bunn, he's training with Ben Davison now. You've got Abbas Baru with Adam Booth.
Yeah.
We've got a female, Sophie Alish. I call her the Wunderkind of Germany. Check her out. She's got some fantastic workouts on Instagram. She's like an ambassador for Gymshark, and she does this. She's just turned, was it 18 or 19? The Wunderkind of Germany. Wunderkind, I love that. And she is phenomenal. She's been voted a WBC Prospect of the Year. She'll be world champion very, very, very soon.
What weight is she in? What weight is she?
She's around the featherweight, but she's going up and down a lot. She's still developing. She's 18, Gareth.
Wow.
18.
Wow.
So it's like you look at her and think, where can she go? She's got levels that there's and female boxing's come on in leaps and bounds. I remember. Can you remember the first time you were reporting on female boxing? I remember promoting it.
I'll tell you. It was Layla Ali in 1998.
1998. We promoted Layla Ali for a show.
Yeah.
She fought in Berlin. Muhammad Ali was the only chance I got to meet the greatest of all time. And but think back then. And Ali was, Layla Ali was there because of her name as well. I mean, she's a fantastic fighter, but it was also the name. And I remember promoting Cecilia Breckhus when we signed her and built her and turned her into a unified world champion. She won all 4 belts with us. And then we had a lot of success with others, Clara Svensson, and it was a time when the problem was not the talent. Cecilia was a phenomenal talent. I wouldn't say best talent in 100 years, but the best talent for a decade. You could see in female boxing. The problem was the opponents. Their depth wasn't there.
It's changing though, isn't it? It's changing.
Yeah, it's Listen, I've talked a lot about it. The WBSS will do a female tournament very soon, because you have the depth. You can't do a WBSS without the depth, and the females have now got that depth, and you can see it in the fights that are happening. You know, you saw quite a few in lockdown, actually.
Women's boxing came on. It came on. Women's
yeah,
fighting came on in general.
But Gareth, this sport only comes on when you've got 50-50s, not 90-10s. You know, no one likes the 90-10s. You know, you like a 50-50 in any sport, maybe a 60-40, but you know, you want that feeling, you want that buzz. You know, I don't know who's going to win. And that's why I think we've done very well in the WBSS. That's something that we've always tried to do in boxing. You know, and people say, "Oh, well, I know in Germany you did a lot of that." Yes, right, okay. That's a very specific market. But there were some great fights as well in Germany, you know, mustn't forget.
And also Klitschko was very big at the time. And you conquered the East German market, and there was an all-time...
Klitschko, mustn't forget, Klitschko, there was no one who could touch him, you know? No. There was no one who could touch him. So that was the...
It made sense, didn't it? It made sense.
You can't blame the Klitschkos that you had to have, I don't know, Rod Stewart or Elton John or whoever playing before the shows to make it into a bit of an event, because you knew who was going to win. It wasn't 90-10, it was 99-1. There was always the chance they'd slip up on the rope or on the ring walk or something. But you know, you knew what you were getting. At the same time, it filled stadiums. Yeah, broke every record. So the Klitschkos were simply untouchable. You know, you can argue, okay, Vladimir was methodical. Emmanuel Stewart turned him into a winner. Before that, he lost 3 times by knockout. I mustn't forget that. He went on to rule the sport for 9 years, and he got beaten by a fantastic Tyson Fury. You know, I mean, you know, people mustn't forget when they talk about Fury. You know, and they go on, oh yeah, the comeback and that there. The comeback's all impressive. That's great. And I think it's fantastic what Tyson's done. But Tyson reignited. He set fire to the heavyweights that famous night in Dusseldorf. That was the night we got our heavyweights back as a competitive division, because it blew everything out the water. Yeah. You know, it blew everything out the water. Suddenly you had, you know, and I don't think that this heavyweight division that we're in now is anywhere near some of the great heavyweight divisions, but it's fun, Gareth. It's fun. It's great to watch. There's 50-50s out there. We're just in the middle of the process to organise Hrgovic Hunter. Hrgovic Hunter is an eliminator, but it's creating a buzz like it's a world title. Yeah. It's fantastic. You know, last year, Joyce Dubois, massive buzz around it. You know, Dillian White, Povetkin. These are great fights. They're fantastic fights. They're exciting fights. And anyone who says to me now, "Oh well, Dillian White, well, he polished off an old Povetkin." What, an old Povetkin that 4 months before knocked him out? No, you can't blame Dillian for that.
Hey, you know, White Wilder,
White Ruiz. Yeah. Loads, and of course, you know, we've talked about a lot. You know, the WBSS maybe to do a tournament. Hrgovic Joyce, fantastic.
That's a great fight.
The rematch for the Olympics. You know,
that's a great fight.
I need to see that one, and I'm sure we will. Yeah. You know, he's a great guy, Joe. I'm sure he doesn't fear anyone, and he has a good manager in Sam. You know, it'd be a fantastic fight. You know, but there's loads of them, Gareth. We can continue. Yeah. There's other guys as well.
Eubank Canelo. Eubank Canelo.
Eubank Canelo. Golovkin.
Eubank Billy Joe Saunders if he beats Canelo.
Listen, Eubank. I'll tell you another one I'd like to make. If Liam Williams, Williams beats Andrade, what a fantastic fight! Alone the build-up to it will be pay-per-view.
Liam Williams, Eubank, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally.
I mean, I spoke to Junior earlier this week, right up there on his pecking order. We went through.
It's been brilliant for him being with Roy Jones Jr. for a year, isn't it? I mean, it's been
fantastic. And you know, of course, every fighter loves to fight. They need to fight because that's how they make their money as well. But Junior, despite his, you know, hanging out with Dan Bilzerian on Instagram and things like that. Listen, don't believe the hype. That kid is in the gym he might sit at tables with 100 bottles of champagne. He doesn't drink a drop. He's in the gym every day. Yes, I think in the past he is sometimes overtrained, maybe trained in the wrong direction, not efficiently enough. And I think Roy is a fantastic
mentor.
I don't even have a trainer, mentor. Mind reading there, Gareth. Mind reading, mentor. So forget the Roy Jones skills as a trainer. I couldn't really judge them because there's not enough of a CV. But in terms of how Roy is a mentor to him is going to be fantastic. We've got our comeback fight, the UK comeback fight with Mark Morrison on May the 1st, which is exactly the sort of fight we were looking for. And we've got the big one coming up in the summer, probably in July or August. So, that's and on that list for the one in the summer, there's so many names. I mean, it's 6-7 different names you could look at, and it's exciting times.
Just to finally today to end, are we going to see a Wasserman Sauerland card soon? Or and you kind of very cleverly avoided my question about a TV deal. Because there's some people wondering, there's so much money in Wasserman and you've got so much experience. Could you be taking over the Sky deal in the UK?
Listen, there's a lot of speculation about a Sky deal. There's no talks with Sky. Sky have a partner in Eddie Hearn and Matchroom. So if that became available, of course, it'd be something we'd be interested in. And I'm sure that we have a stable which they'd be interested in talking to us. But that's something that's not concrete. We have lots of different discussions going on. For us, it's a lot at the moment, though, about talent. And we're out there talking to a lot of talent. And we will, at the same time, be talking to a lot of media platforms. There's no rush because the summer's still a few months away, but we've got to get certain names out, and we're going to be signing certain names that need to get out. And those names will easily find homes. So, I can't give away too much, Gareth, but I don't think it's necessarily just broadcaster-led. We want to go and attack the talent, and work for that talent. And I think when any boxer walks through the doors, and by the way, it's not Wasserman Sound, it's Wasserman Boxing. That's the new name. And Wasserman Boxing, they walk through the doors of Wasserman Boxing, they are going to fall over because you can't. And that is. It is simply the service to a fighter, whether he's starting up or he's an established, unified world champion. It doesn't matter. The level of
it's almost unrivaled, you're saying, yeah? It's almost unrivaled.
But it is unrivaled.
Even though Barry Hearn liked to call you a joke. Did you see that the other day?
Yeah, I think he was referring to the fact that we went out and said we were the world's greatest promoter. That I think it was
the most funded promoters in the world,
well, you definitely are the most. We definitely are the most funded. I mean, you can have an argument with me all day long about that one, and you can definitely argue with me all day long that we have who has the better infrastructure. I mean, Matchroom have got a great infrastructure, but we can't compare that to Wasserman. I mean, that I'd like to get on this show and have an open debate with Barry on that one.
We'll make it happen. We'll make it happen.
But we'll make it happen. Yeah. No, I mean, and listen, we work great with Eddie and with Barry. Barry was more my father's generation. Sorry, Barry, that wasn't a little dig at you. But no, I work very well with Eddie, and and we've worked very well on many fighters over many years. So I think we actually worked on the fight that brought pay-per-view back to Britain, and that was and when we say pay-per-view, I know everyone's going to go boo pay-per-view, but unfortunately that's the way you get the big fights to the UK. And I remember Kessler Froch too.
Yeah.
If someone tells me that wasn't worth the 15 quid, then you should switch sports. That was, 12 rounds.
Amazing.
It works out to £1.25 a round. I think I'll take that. So yeah. But that was the fight that brought it back. And, I think, we've worked well with the Hearns over the years. So, yeah, listen, I don't take too seriously what people say on social media. If I did that, I think I'd be,
as mad as they are.
I get a lot of interesting ones. I do sometimes like to go on social media and just read some reactions and some comment. People call and say, "Can you just did an interview on here, there, or wherever?" And they said, "Have you seen the comments?" And I'm like, "No, what?" And I look at it and I can't see any comments. No, you got to look at the YouTube and then you see the comments. And I've seen like 700 comments on it, and I'm like, "What?" Some people really have a wicked image, but listen, most of it's love, so I'm good with that.
Yeah,
I'm good with that.
Lots of
if
love.
They would only know the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, it's great to speak to you. It's great to hear from you. It's always great to hear from you,
Gareth.
It's
see you soon in person, my friend.
Exactly. Thanks, mate.
All the best. God bless.